Well, hello there, folks. This is Kevin Nova coming to you live from B Street Music in San Mateo, California. And today we're doing a review of the Fender Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster. It's not so much just a review of that guitar alone. I'm also going to be comparing it and contrasting it to what happens if you take a left-handed Stratocaster and flip it upside down and do exactly what Jimi did. Because Fender came out with this new Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster. And the idea is that it's supposed to be the best of both worlds. If you're right-handed, you can get all the things that Hendrix got out of playing a guitar upside down without the hassles. And a lot of purists, Jimi Hendrix purists, are going, oh, but it's a right-handed guitar with a left-handed neck, and they're complaining about it. So I'm going to do a little side-by-side, and we're going to look at the pros and cons of each and see what you think. Okay, we're going to start out. I'll talk a little bit about what exactly makes Jimi Hendrix's guitar special. As most of you know, he played left-handed, although, interesting tidbit, he did everything else in life right-handed. He threw a baseball, he wrote, did everything right-handed, but he played guitar left-handed. So what he would do is he would take a right-handed guitar and he'd flip it upside down and restring it, and there's some things that you have to do to make that work. And part of that contributed to his unique sound. So let me go over those things really quickly. The first thing you have to do, if you take a left-handed guitar, this is one that I did, a left-handed Strat, you have to put a right-handed nut on it. You can't just flip the strings because the grooves are not going to be the right. So you got to put you got to replace the nut and then reset the intonation and all of that. This started out as a Squier Stratocaster. And what I did is I upgraded everything. These are Fender, the 5762 Mexican pickups, which they use in all of their 50s and 60s reissue guitars, and a vintage style Fender tremolo bridge, just to upgrade it from the Squier stuff. But the wood is okay. The wood is good. So yeah, everything else got upgraded. So first of all, Jimi would have the tuners down here as opposed to up here. And the first thing that does is normally your high string, your small strings are the longest and the big strings are the shortest. And now what happens is the longer a string is, the tighter you got to get it up to pitch. So he would end up having slinkier high strings. It allowed him to bend much easier, which is why, you know, in the 80s a lot of the metal players started using reverse headstock necks. That became a thing because it allows you to bend easier. It changes the tension of the strings, reverses it. Another thing that it does is that Fender does what's called staggered pickups, and I don't know if you can see that from way over there. But the pole pieces, they stagger them, and it's not adjustable. It's done at the factory. The pole pieces are different heights to compensate for the different strings. Instead of being flat all the way across, they're highest over the two middle strings, and then they kind of make that shape along with the curvature of the strings, except for the B string, because the B string tends to be unnaturally loud. Well, naturally, I guess, naturally louder than the other strings. So on Fender pickups, the pole piece under the B string is much lower. It's the lowest one to compensate for that. Well, because Jimi flipped it, what ended up happening is that low pole piece is now under the A string, and the B has a really high pole piece, which gives the B string a lot more... I lost my sound. Oh, there it is. There we go. So the B string has a louder sound. It's not super noticeable, but it's there. You know, the A string is not going to be quite as beefy sounding. That kind of worked with Jimi's style because he didn't play bar chords like this. never saw him do this. What he would do, he would use his thumb on the low E string and then play these strings like that, so that his pinky was free and he could... Which means that he wasn't really playing the A string as much. Just a little bit of, you know, whatever. So there's that. The other thing that it did is it slanted the bridge pickup. Normally on a Stratocaster, the pickup goes this way, because the closer it is to the bridge, the more treble you're going to get. And Leo Fender's thinking was that you want the bass strings to not be so trebly and the high strings to have a little more bite to it. Well, because this is reversed, what ends up happening is the high strings have a little bit of a fuller sound, and it's the low strings that have the snappy sound. So those things all contributed to Jimmy's sound, his tonal characteristics. So what Fender has done is they've come up with the Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster. Now, let me switch guitars here for a second so I can show this to you. What this does, if I can juggle two guitars, it's not a left-handed guitar turned upside down like the one that I was just playing. Instead, it's a right-handed body with a left-handed neck, and they reverse slant the pickup and they reverse the pole pieces on the pickups, but everything else on it is right-handed. So, the idea is to get the best of both worlds. Again, some people are complaining about that, like, ooh, it's not really a Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster. But you know what? I'm going to switch back to this one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the pros and the cons. I'm going to show you why this does have advantages. Now, one of the pros of having a left-handed Stratocaster upside down is that Jimmy, if you ever watch a lot of videos of him, like at Monterey, he would do this cool move where he would take his arm and slide it up like he would be playing, you know? And he would do that. And I always wondered how he did it, because every time I would do that, I would whack my funny bone on the top cutaway, on the top horn of the body. Whack. Ah, it hurts. So what I noticed is now, if you look at where the cutaways are, instead of this one being here, it's back here. And I can do that. So if you want to do like Hendrix moves and do that cool little arm thing over the neck, you kind of have to have a lefty upside down for that. Here's the downsides though. Oh, I'll give you another upside though of having this. On the Fender Jimi Hendrix Strat, they put a right-handed bridge. The whammy bar's not attached, but it would go there. So it would hang from below there, just like a normal guitar. The idea is that, you know, people think that the whammy bar would get in the way if it's up top. Stevie Ray Vaughan put a left-handed Fender bridge on his #1 Stratocaster, so he had the whammy bar up here as well. The one thing that I've noticed, when it's up there, it doesn't really get in the way for me. I can still palm you, but I can also grab the whammy bar. Did you see that? Without even using my fingers. I don't have to reach down here to grab it. I can use the palm of my hand, and look at that. Watch, see? It gets out of tune, just like Jimmy's guitars, though. So it's easy to grab the whammy bar if it's up top. That's one thing that Fender didn't do on their Jimi Hendrix Strat, which I feel like they could have. But here's the problems. Here's the problems with taking a left-handed guitar and swapping it upside down to do a reverse Hendrix. Oh, also, as you can see, I had a custom-made Fender decal that's mirror image, so you can't even read it. See, it doesn't say Fender. So if one day I'll shoot a video I'll do a little Jimmy tribute video, and then I can flip the image. It'll look like I'm playing left-handed on a right-handed. Oh, whatever. You don't care. So one thing is, I have no idea how on earth Jimmy was able to keep his arm from turning down the tone control. You hear that? You don't want it to sound like that. It sounds like a jazz guitar. You want that. When I strum, I turn that, and it's really kind of a pain in the butt. Honestly, I don't play this guitar as often as I would like to, and maybe I should just put tape over it or disconnect it or do something, because I cannot stop myself from turning that tone control down. It drives me nuts. The other thing that's kind of a problem is that guitars, they have the fret markers on the front. They also put them on the side of the fretboard there. Well, in this case, they're not here. So if you ever rely on those little dots to know what fret you're on at all, and you look down, you can't see it. If I'm looking down, I don't see any dots. So if you're going to slide up and down the neck, you go up to like that position. You got to either really feel it. You notice Hendrix, he rarely looked down at his hands, at his fretting hand, to see where he was. He was just kind of going by feel. But if you need that little visual, you could just take a marker. You just take a marker and put some dots there. But it's not going to have that, just so you know. Okay. So, yeah, the tone knob, real problem. The switch gets in the way of my arm all the time. The jack, the cable. So that's kind of a hassle. This is not the best place for that. If you're used to playing a right-handed Stratocaster, this left-handed takes a lot of getting used to. You know, when Jimmy played, he didn't keep his arm close to the body. I always keep my arm right on the body like this, and you can't do that because then you're hitting the knobs and the cable. He always kept his arm out like this. And this is why. Now I understand why he always held his arm out away from the body. It was so that he wasn't hitting all the switches and messing up his jack input. So those are the downsides of this. So now let's go back to the Fender Jimi Hendrix and see. Now, first thing, if I go to do this, I can't do it. I hit my funny bone right there, man. It hurts, so don't do that. But the controls are down here, right where I'm used to them being, you know. So this guitar delivers all the tone of an upside down Stratocaster. It gives you all the tone, gives you the feel, you know, the string tension matches, the pole pieces, the slanted pickup, all of those things really help you get that Jimi Hendrix tone. But they put the fret markers on the top of the neck, so you can see where you are without having to mark it with a pen or a marker. The whammy bars down here, some people have complained that it gets in the way up here. That doesn't bother me at all, you know. You could probably get one of these and then put a left-handed bridge on it. If you do a left-handed bridge, you have to route out part of the wood right here to make room for this side of it. Can be done. I've done that before as well. Again, Steve Ray did that. So it's a really cool guitar. It's set up really well. It has, I think these are 9s, and I definitely use higher strings with a higher action on mine. But I think that's all there is to tell you about. So I'm going to play it a little bit, and then yeah. That's why I use heavier gauge strings, because now I have to replace this string, and this is not my guitar. It belongs to B Street Music in San Mateo, California. Well, anyways, I think that's all I have to say for now. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments, and I will answer all questions. Oh, by the way, this is a Blues Junior amp, NOS, because I know that's always a question. And yeah, subscribe, because my New Year's resolution is to do one of these videos every week for 2016. This is number 1. Okay, well, take it easy, everybody. See you later. See, now I'm all out of tune.